Well, good evening. We're sorry we're just a minute late today. I'd like to welcome you all to our September 18th, 2018 Ogden City Council meeting. Let the roll call reflect that all council members are present here today. We appreciate you also being here. We can't do this without you. We're grateful that you've attended as well. We'll turn the time now to Vice Chair Nadolski for the pledge.
Thank you, Chair Heyer. In tip of the hat to his years of service in our position, I've asked former council member Jesse Garcia to lead us in the pledge today.
Thank you for the opportunity. Would you all please rise and follow along with me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Jesse. If you would all please join us for a moment of silence. Thank you. All right, the next item on our agenda today is some recognitions. The first is for Captain Daniel Croyle, and we've asked Councilmember White if she would make that presentation today.
It is my pleasure to do so. I have a recognition here from the Ogden City Council and Mayor proudly recognizing Danielle Croyle for providing invaluable contributions to the Ogden community. Captain Danielle Croyle began her career with the Ogden City Police Department in 1993. She rose to the ranks of Master Officer in 1999, Sergeant in 2002, Lieutenant in 2010, and Captain in 2017. Throughout her 25 years of dedicated service in the department, Captain Croyle fulfilled various leadership responsibilities, including Watch Commander, Commander of the Major Crimes Bureau and Real-Time Crime Center, and Division Commander of Support Services. Captain Croyle's dedication to safety and well-being of the community reaches even further as she serves as the president of the Alumni Association Board of Directors at Weber State University, where she was instrumental in providing focus and assistance to victims of sexual assault. She is also the member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the Ogden-Weber Chamber of Commerce, the Utah State Domestic Violence Advisory Council, and the National Tactical Officers Association. A criminal justice graduate of Weber State University, Captain Croyle also graduated from the Federal Bureau of Investigation's National Academy in 2012. Captain Croyle completed her highly decorated career with 19 Excellent Work Awards, 3 Distinguished Unit Awards, 2 Medals of Merit, and the Distinguished Service Medal. We are truly grateful for Captain Croyle's remarkable service to our community and wish her our best in all future endeavors. To my friend, I present this on the 18th day of September, 2018.
You might want to start there.
Congratulations.
You're we're gonna do some pictures. You want anybody else in the picture?
Yeah, I'd like to have. I'm like, oh, just come on. Logan, come on. You're famous too.
We're not seeing you in your uniform.
Yeah, you're way too casual. You're really a lot of casual today.
Can I get the front line to shift one person this way? Perfect. Awesome. Let's see. Got a lot of bodies, gotta make sure I'm the picture. If you can't see me, I can't see you. All right, we're good. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, a little early. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I get everybody.
Wait, I don't, does he have my best
Yeah, I
side?
think we have it. I think we're good.
Congratulations.
We would love to hear from you.
Okay,
So-
great. Oh, that's fun. I would be remiss if I didn't say thank you, not only to you as the council and the CAO and the mayor, but I'm going to go through a list of names of people that have helped me through my career, that have helped me be successful, and have helped mentored me, coached me, helped me with leadership discussions. I started out and I had Sergeant Glenn Warner was my very first sergeant. He wasn't a sergeant very long because he passed away shortly after due to a heart attack. We had the comedic effect of Wes Peterson and Ken Brooks as my evening sergeants. Those that know them, they were lots of fun stories. Brooks, we would always show up. He'd show up on your calls, but sometimes he wouldn't even have his gun belt on. Tony Fox was instrumental. We went through Hell Week back in '95 together. Will Cragen, who was a retired lieutenant from here, bet against me that I wouldn't make it through. That's always been a sore spot. We always give each other a hard time about it. I had Lieutenant Stubbs, who was a lieutenant in investigations. That was really my love and my passion. And he helped train me in a lot of those things. Dave Reed was the training. Some of these have passed, and it's kind of sad. Dave Reed, who was one of the training lieutenants when I first started. And training, if you knew, you didn't really get to go to training when I first hired on. Training was something that was extra special. You kind of did the local stuff. And he saw something in me and allowed me to go to off-site training in Vegas. And I was able to work on domestic violence issues. The likes of Chief Ashman and Deputy Chief Wayne Tarwater and Marcy Korginski, all of them were instrumental in supporting me in my career. I couldn't be more thankful for the team that's here today with Deputy Chief Young, Lieutenant Subi, Lieutenant Farr. We have a really great thing that's going on here in Ogden at the police department. Chief Watt has really, in the short amount of time that he's been here, has really taken active, progressive, super strategic planning and very fast pace to adjust the culture and the climate of the police department. And I will be internally grateful to him too, because he promoted me to captain and gave me the opportunity to learn those new skills, be involved in those leadership positions, and I am thankful for that. Ogden is my home. It's given me the exposure to a diverse and engaging community. It's where I've grown up, my experiences, and my lessons learned. Thank you.
Can we make some comments?
I was going to just say we were going to allow
the room.
some council member comments before she leaves. Don't run away. So who'd like to be first?
So over the 5 years, 6 years that I've been on the council, Danielle has been a mentor to me, and in a world where it's sometimes difficult for women to be successful, she's been a great mentor and someone that continues to push me along and open up my envelope and understand what's going on in our city. And so will be forever grateful for that, and know that your next journey will be fun to hear about. So thank you.
Anyone else?
I'd love to.
Sure.
So I've been on the council for
I'm in my third year. 3 years ago, I'd see you around town. I'd say, "Hi, Danielle." For the last 3 years, it's "Hi, Captain." Right. Now it's Danielle again. You are all about Ogden. You have been an officer who has been invested in this community, not just in your service to the community, but in the betterment of the community. And I imagine when I look back at my retirement, that if I make it 25 years, then I'm going to look back and I'm going to ask myself, did I spend my life doing the right things? And I can tell you, Danielle, you absolutely have. If we look back to your contribution in our community, you have brought very unique skills and very unique gifts and contributions to Ogden. I was reminded of that when we had a human trafficking resolution. And, I run into you sometimes at the Capitol, and I talk to other people at the Capitol, and people tell me the difference we make here in Ogden on human trafficking. And the reason we make a difference here has everything to do with the people in blue, the men and women in blue, but it has a ton to do with you. A ton. You have made a difference. Same said for sexual assault and domestic violence. I've spent some time with the CJC and have learned about their programming, and I know how important it is that the approach that we take with those kids and with any victim of those kinds of crimes is different. That you not only bring justice, but you bring compassion in the way that you get fulfilled the justice. Danielle, you have done that. For 25 years, when you look back on the time that you've spent and how you have committed yourself for your career and your life work, you should feel so good about what you've done. You have absolutely made a difference, Danielle Croyle, and I thank you for that.
Art?
When I was a 14-year-old, we would go
boy.
places. No. She wasn't old enough to arrest me. We would go places, and when our friends would say, "Hey, who was there?" we'd always say Danielle was there. We were really excited about that. It was fun for us. When I first got put on city council, that was one of the first persons I thought of that, hey, I'm going to go places with Danielle again. I'm going to get to see her again, which was really exciting for me. I was always just a little kid that kind of stayed in the back. So, but as I started to go to more events and see you throughout this other places throughout the city and stuff, I was just as excited to see you as I was when I was 14, that, hey, I'm going to be there and Danielle's there. And I'd always try to work my way over to get near Danielle. Like Brandon said, Captain now. But you're also one of the names that I drop whenever I talk to people from other cities or within our city about, and I always say, well, I knew Danielle, and everyone I talk to speaks very highly of you, and it speaks volumes as to the kind of person you are and the job that you've done. And I know as a little 14-year-old, I thank you for taking time to say hi to me. As a city council member, I thank you for someone that kind of took me under her wing and kind of showed me around and made me feel welcome in places where sometimes I didn't feel welcome or wasn't sure what to do. And as a resident, I thank you for what you've done for our community and for making me and my family feel safe and welcome here. So thank you for everything you've done.
Several weeks ago, I mentioned that I appreciated your service in City Council, and I still do that. But most important of all, I appreciate your professionalism. You set the example of others to follow, and you provided information that directed the affairs of our police department in this area, and we're much better off for that. I appreciate the sacrifices you've made. I appreciate the sacrifices your family's made, because I'm sure they've made many sacrifices over the years there. I wish you all the success in the coming years, and thank you for your service and the direction that you've given to us at the present time.
I just want to say thank you as the newest city council. You're welcoming and answering all of my questions and just really providing a great role model for someone to look up to, not only for me, but for everyone else. And also just thank you for coming to the Neighborhood Watch meeting. Even though you're the captain and everything, it was really, really helpful to have your presence there. And I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Mayor Caldwell would like a word.
So there's not much I can repeat that hasn't been said already, but I'd ask, have you seen the movie A Few Good Men?
Is that the one with?
Marines
Yes,
and Tom
yes,
Cruise and everything
yes.
else? Well, I love that movie because they go through, make some really hard decisions, have some emotional things and everything else. And at the end, it doesn't turn out exactly like they want. But the Marine at the end, I'm going to get emotional to it, stands up and says, "All rise, there's an officer on deck." And I'd like us all to do that one more time.
Officer on deck.
Thank you. Okay, well, I'm 10:42.
Thank you, Danielle. You've been a credit to our city.
I was just going to say, you look as intimidating without uniform than you do with uniform. That was going to be my comment. But anyway, congratulations.
Okay, well, that was a lot of fun. We don't want to let them go. We don't want to have you lose police officers every week, but this has been fun. So thank you for your service to our city, Danielle. You're a credit to us and to your gender. Thank you. All right, next item on our agenda tonight is our Community Planning Month, and we have our. It's not as much fun, but it's pretty fun for me. I don't know about you. I like it. So, we've asked Councilmember Stevens if he would read this proclamation for us. So, Councilmember Stevens.
Thank you, Chair. First of all, before I do that, I'd like to thank our Planning Commission and the planning staff that we have in the city. They're so valuable, not only to the city, but to the City Council for the work that they've done. And they do a great job for us in the city. Formulate some of the ideas and some of the programs that we're seeing successful in. A joint proclamation of the Ogden City Council and Mayor declaring October 2018 Community Planning Month in Ogden City. Whereas change is consistent and affects all cities, towns, suburbs, counties, boroughs, townships, rural area, and other places. And whereas community planning can help guide this change in a way that provides better choices for how people live, work, and whereas community planning provides an opportunity for all residents to be meaningfully involving in making choices that determine the future of their community. And whereas the benefit of the community planning requires public officials and citizens who understand, support, and demand excellent planning, and whereas the month of October is designated as National Community Planning Month throughout the United States of America and its territories, and whereas the American Planning Association and its professional institution of certified planners endorse National Community Planning Month as an opportunity to highlight the contributions in sounding planning, making planning to make the quality of our cities and environment. And whereas the American Planning Association 2018 theme of housing a community infrastructure underscores the important role planning plays in addressing housing issues and delivering the housing that is critical to meeting the needs of our community. And whereas the celebration of the National Community Planning Month gives us the opportunity to publicly recognize the participation and dedication of the members of our Planning Commission and all other citizen planners who have contributed their time and expertise to the improvement of Ogden, Utah. And whereas the celebration also gives us the opportunity to recognize the many valuable contributions made by the professional community planners of Ogden, Utah, which includes the city planning staff and the city community and economic development department, and extends our heartfelt thanks to the continued commitment to public service by these professionals. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Ogden City and Mayor Michael P. Caldwell hereby proclaim October 2018 Community Planning Month in Ogden City. Community planning in Ogden, Utah is part of the nationwide recognition and the celebration of community planning, and is an opportunity to recognize all citizens, professional planners who have diligently worked to make Ogden a unique and vibrant place to live, work, learn, and play. Passed and adopted this 18th day of September 2018. And I propose that we pass that resolution.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Stevens, seconded by Councilmember Blair, to adopt this resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, we do have some planners with us today. Just so you know, we didn't drag all the planning commissioners out to this because we're going to drag them all out tomorrow. So, but we did want to have, since we have the planning staff with us, we're going to take some pictures with the plaque, but we're going to keep it until we can bring it back to the planning commission in October. So, but come on up and we'll shake our hands and we'll take some pictures. And I think we should learn who some of these new ones are. This guy with the beard, I haven't met him.
I'm Joe.
Glenn.
It's not me right now.
Congratulations.
Ben, nice to meet you, Amber.
Congratulations, Angela. Hi, how are you? Congratulations.
Come on.
Happy planning.
Happy planning.
Give that one to Greg. We're going to take some pictures.
Tall people
Yeah, don't
stand
put a
over
ding
there.
in the corner.
Yeah, find a window, people. If you can't see me, the camera can't see you. All right.
Come on.
Right there. Perfect. All right. 1, 2, 3. All right. Great. Thank you.
What if you just take a minute and introduce yourselves to us? Would you? What's that? Take a minute and introduce yourselves. Okay.
It'll be good to, I don't know how many of you know how many people are behind the scenes, because you just generally see me. So Amber's our newest planner. Amber?
Hi, I'm Amber Corbridge. I started working for Ogden City just last year in November, and it's been great. I've loved it. I've learned a lot, so I'm happy to be here and serving this city.
I'm Joe Simpson. I've been with Ogden City. I've been here for just over 11 years now. It's been wonderful to be a part of it, and I love being here. This is the best city to work for as a planner, I think, and I look forward to many more years here. So
I've been in front of you a few times, but I've been in Ogden for just a couple of years now. I was in a different city before, but the change to Ogden has been, and I was just talking with my associate planners here today, but it's been nothing but a breath of fresh air. The community and the city, there's nothing bad to be said about Ogden anymore. It's a wonderful place, and I think it's got great things ahead of it. So thank you very much for all of your support and for everything you guys do for the city as well.
Thanks, Glenn. You don't want to say anything?
No, I don't have anything to say.
Okay.
You hear enough from me, so.
Talk about concrete.
Amber, welcome to the city, and it's good to see the other two of you also. I got on the planning commission, it was 23 years ago, and you've got a good man to study under. He's quite the mentor. We appreciate Greg being around here. We hope you never age out.
I don't think I got to grow a beard.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Joe. Well, thank you all, and we'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Well, that was pretty fun, wasn't it? These guys just don't appreciate the
A fun
planning
night.
aspect of things, right?
It's having the most fun night ever.
Okay, well, next item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. First is the work session of March 27th, 2018. Councilmember Lopez.
Yes, Chair Heyer, I reviewed the minutes and found them to be accurate to the best of my recollection.
And the regular meeting of April 3rd, 2018, and work session of June 19th, 2018. Councilmember Chaburka.
Yes, Chair, those minutes are correct.
And of the joint work session of June 12th, 2018. Councilmember White.
Yes, Chair Heyer, I reviewed those, and they are correct to the best of my knowledge.
And then the special meeting of June 12th, 2018. Councilmember Blair.
Yes, thank you, Chair Heyer. I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate.
And finally, the minutes of the regular meeting of June 19th, 2018. Councilmember Stevens.
Yes, Chair, they're correct, and I make a motion that we adopt and approve the minutes that are being presented.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Stevens, second by Councilmember Blair to approve the minutes. All in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, we have, the next item is common consent portion of our agenda. Two items, fiscal year 2018-2019 art grants. And that is to set the public hearing for October 16th. And then the Ogden City Arts Committee reappointments. So I'll look for a motion.
Chair Heyer, I'll make a motion that we adopt the items of common consent.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Nadolski, seconded by Councilmember White to adopt the common consent agenda. And this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, that passes. Are there anyone on this list of appointments to the Ogden's Arts Committee here? Is anybody here? Okay. All right.
It's over there hiding.
Oh.
Oh, Jess McCowan. Jess McCowan's there over there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. You want to say anything? Okay. It's not required. We just,
Thanks for coming.
we appreciate you coming. So rarely people do, so thanks for being here. Appreciate it. All right, the next portion of our agenda is public hearings. There are two tonight, both related. The first is Martin Luther King Jr. honorary street name. And and following that one is the Cesar E. Chavez. Am I saying that right, Luis?
Almost.
Give me a lesson.
Cesar Chavez.
Cesar Chavez.
Almost.
Okay, I'm a white guy. What can I say?
Okay.
I'll do my best.
We know who you're talking about.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway, that's an honorary street name also. And so Amy Sue Maybe is going to talk to us about that.
Thank you, council members. So this evening, this proposal is a little bit unique, and I'll kind of go through that a little bit, but there was initially a request from Dr. Forrest Crawford and former council member Jesse Garcia to make this change to extend the current honorary designations for Martin Luther King Jr. Street and Cesar E. Chavez Streets to Harrison Boulevard. And so on this map here, you can see currently Martin Luther King Jr. Street extends to Jefferson Avenue and Cesar E. Chavez to Monroe. And so the intention would be to extend these further. Initially, the intention was to extend these for the entirety of the streets, but since the proposals came back in 1995 and 2003, there have been two additional honorary designations for some of the high schools, and so that kind of goes past Harrison Boulevard. So there's two different types of street namings. The first is a standard renaming that can occur to a street. The second being an honorary renaming. And so with the process with a standard renaming, the city engineer or a resident can recommend the change. There's a public notice and public hearing. The public hearing for this is this evening. as a requirement, and then the Planning Commission reviews the proposal, and the City Council then makes a determination. So the honorary street naming follows the same process, but there is a little bit of a difference between the two. So standard namings are usually done to try to eliminate duplication, to help emergency services and for any other good cause. And they actually legally change the name of a street and the addresses associated with that. With honorary street designations, they're generally to recognize an individual, cultural and community contributions, and they don't legally change the name, but those on the street can make the determination whether or not to use that new name. So with that, currently in Ogden, there are 5 honorary street designations. I already mentioned 4 of those. And then the additional one is Scott's Way, and that is for another school as well. So the timeline for this, as I kind of mentioned prior, started in 1995 with a designation for Martin Luther King Jr. Street. And initially, the proposal was to have that extend up further. Due to some discussion and some pushback, they actually, at the time, the council ended up moving that back. And then in 2003, the designation for Cesar Chavez was approved, but we received a request, the request from Dr. Crawford and Jesse Garcia back in 2014-15 timeframe. There was a little bit of a stall and a hold on that, and the reasoning for that is because the Diversity Commission was being formed, and there was a lot of desire to have that body review this proposal and help make a recommendation on that. And so once the Diversity Commission was in full force and meeting regularly, we put in a request to the Diversity Commission to review this proposal. They recommended approval, and from that, there were some discussions with Dr. Crawford, with Jesse, and with the council. During one of its work sessions, the discussion was, and this is what makes this a little bit unique, for you as a body to request that this proposal be considered by the Planning Commission, so that there's not a formal petitioner on there, so there was no payment that was required for this. And I guess just one other thing to include with the proposal from Dr. Crawford and Jesse, they have graciously volunteered to do the fundraising for this, which would be $12,000 for the street signage and designation. So from that, the council sent a letter to the Planning Commission requesting its review, and the Planning Commission considered and recommended approval during its June 6th meeting, and then we held a work session that was very brief. That was a full night, September 4th, and then the 18th is tonight, and this is our public hearing and consideration. So with that, are there any questions of you as a body or individually on this proposal?
Any questions for Ms. Mabee?
And we do have here before you as well Greg Montgomery to overview the Planning Commission's process and role. This does come because of the requirements of the City Code through the Planning Commission as a recommendation to you. Ray, if you want to.
Amy, I have one question while he's coming up.
Yes, sorry.
On the public hearings, will we do those together or separate?
So they would be separate because it's 2 separate items, correct? But we made the presentations together just as
Can I
for
take a
ease.
little creative license here? I think we're going to do them together, just because we've had both presentations together. We'll make 2 motions, but I think we'll hear the public hearings.
Hold the public hearing once for both items, is that?
Yeah, that's what I
within
think we
bounds?
should do. I'm good with that.
Any objection, attorneys? Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Great question, Councilmember Blair.
So really, Amy's covered the basics. As the Planning Commission reviewed this, the original approval or the original request, the Planning Commission actually had recommended that in both namings it extend to Harrison Boulevard, but because of considerations at the time, the Martin Luther King went to Jefferson and Chavez went to Monroe. But the Planning Commission's recommendation at the time was that both should go to Harrison. So when they received this request, they felt, well, We said it once, we'll say it again. It should go to Harrison Boulevard for both of them. I think the thing that was concern originally, and we still heard at the Planning Commission level, was does this change our addresses, and do we have to then go to the expense of changing stationery and other things? We had received phone calls, and also one person at the Planning Commission had expressed that, and as we explained, the honorary designation does not change addresses, but adds to the street signs the honorary name, and then it's the property owner's choice of what they would wish to do in terms of how they address their property. And because that requirement is not there to physically change things, it does not add an expense to the citizen for these honorary name changes. And so that's one of the concerns that came up. The Planning Commission addressed that this action would not affect those situations. So the Planning Commission in both cases recommended approval of the names being extended to Harrison Boulevard for both 24th Street and 30th Street, to have the Martin Luther King Jr. Street on 24th and Cesar Chavez on 30th Street to Harrison Boulevard. And that's a unanimous recommendation.
Any questions for Greg? All right.
I have one question, and maybe this is something I had intended to ask Jesse Garcia and hadn't, so maybe he can address it in public comment, but you don't have to. I was just curious, do you know what the pushback was once it got to the council back then?
Back then?
Why it didn't go all the way?
Yeah, I think Jesse was on the council at that point, if I remember right. On both of them. So, yeah, he could kind of talk about maybe what the council's feeling was at that point.
Okay. Thanks.
I have a small question. It was mentioned that Mr. Garcia and Dr. Crawford are raising the funds for that. What does that $12,000 go to?
That is for the street signs themselves.
The street
to
signs,
be
they're
placed
actually
on
paying
there.
for the street signs, okay.
And that was one of the earlier parts too, is the question is who's paying for this? And I think that's why when they came forward this time, they said, we will address that issue. We'll fundraise to make sure it's not an item the city has to bear the expense of.
Sorry, just to clarify, that's street signs and installation.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
the
perfect.
whole event.
We originally put them in, who paid for it?
The city did, if I remember right.
Okay, we're good? All right, thanks, Greg. All right, well, this is a public hearing, so we would like to hear from you, our audience, to come forth. Please give us your name for the record. Limit your comments to 3 minutes, but we'd love to hear what you have to say. And welcome, former
Jesse
Councilmember
Garcia.
Garcia.
Kind of I guess you call me city advocate community. I'll respond to Councilmember Nadolski's question. In 1995, when we first were doing the MLK Street, there was a lot of back and forth communication even prior to the designation itself. And knowing that if I tried to go higher than Jefferson, it was not going to happen. So what I did in the middle of the meeting is I just went ahead and amended it to Jefferson, which gave us the 4-3 vote. Otherwise, we'd have lost 4-3. That's what happened. And on the Cesar Chavez Street, basically the same thing. A lot of discussion, and a lot of the council members were like, well, why should we do this, So what ended up happening is one of the council members said, well, when are we going to have a Brigham Street? Well, one of my dearest friends and council members at the time, who is a history buff of Ogden like no other, he said, well, we did have a Brigham Street. It was changed, I believe it was June 2nd of 1956, which is now Kiesel Avenue. And so when that was said, it was like, okay. And then it came back to the hearing itself, and it passed on a 7-0. So the climate was not real good then. And I really want to commend you all for looking at this now, because I know the national climate is not good at all. And I really appreciate you all putting us in front of the national. So thank you.
Jesse, Jesse, on your funds, how much have you collected?
I'm not sure. Forrest?
Roughly 5,000.
5,000.
5,000?
Yeah, there's not a lot of people going to put money into it until the thing passes. And so I believe that once it passes, people will come forward. So thank you.
Thanks, Jesse. Welcome, Dr. Crawford.
Good evening. It's good to see you all again. As been mentioned earlier, and I really do thank you for the recap on the evolution of this project. This project has gone back since 1995, since I originally brought our proposal from the state Martin Luther King Jr. Human Rights Commission, because at the time I was the chair of the state King Commission, brought a proposal to the then multicultural, Mayor's Multicultural Advisory Board at the time. As that had been considered, it rolled into Councilman Garcia's time on this commission, where there was an opportunity to seriously review that. And so while that process, as you've already heard here, was largely a compromise process where that it compromised the original vision of it. In my personal view, it should have gone all the way up to, I stand corrected, maybe Buchanan all the way up. But we recognize that that wasn't to be because of, as been suggested, some resistance with the residents, whether that was because they assumed that the addresses would change, or at least in two cases I was aware of, they said they didn't want Martin Luther King's name on their street, period. Nevertheless, there was, we received that vote in the affirmative, that that was a period of dormancy. And not only was there dormancy about the signage, and so while we went on and celebrated that opportunity to have Martin Luther King on 24th Street, that beyond that time, it never really set well with the community. And more importantly, from my perspective, that here you had the honorary symbol of two great Americans whose names were now relegated largely to the west side of Ogden. Now, ain't nothing wrong with the west side of Ogden, but you can understand sort of the undercurrent there, where the question was, why could we not extend this signage all the way at least to Harrison Boulevard, if not to the foot of the mountain? So that brought us to at least the last few years, where I can remember when we were up at you all at Weber State, that I had rekindled our interest in exploring this ideal about pushing Martin Luther King Boulevard further east as a way to not.
I'm sorry, Dr. Crawford. Could you wind up? You've run out of time. I'm sorry.
Absolutely, and I apologize. As a way to not have it relegated on the west side, and so we're here tonight to ask you all to just vote in the affirmative to allow this to go forward. You've already heard folks saying that that we are in fundraising mode on this, and so any help you can give us as a council also wouldn't hurt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Betty Sawyer. I'm chair of the Ogden Diversity Commission, and we're here tonight to just reaffirm our support for both of these extensions of Cesar Chavez and Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Street in our community. I think the time is now, and it's a wonderful opportunity with all of the growth and development that's going on in our community, with our cultural arts corridor and things of that nature. So we urge you to support this as the community has stepped forward to provide funding and to seek funding. We also would like to put it on your hearts and minds to consider meeting part of this obligation if this community effort does not reach that designated and needed amount. Like Dr. Crawford, I was here in 1995 to support the Martin Luther King Street as director of the Governor's Office of Black Affairs and the newly created Martin Luther King Jr. Human Rights Commission. We were excited to make this a part of our Ogden community as well. So again, we thank you for your support in the past, urge your support this evening. Thank you.
Thanks, Betty.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ana Jane Arroyo, and I'm the chair of Image Then Northern Utah. We're a longtime activist organization here that supports employment and civic engagement and education, especially for youth. We're extremely supportive of the Ogden Weber Applied Tech Center students and Weber State University students. In fact, in 1995, the Hispanic Area Council student organization was really supportive of this project, and Image as well. Now we have on our fundraising, with our fundraising efforts, when Dr. Forrest Crawford invited us to participate and help with the fundraising, we readily agreed to come on board. So I think that it's quite obvious to everyone that the demographics have significantly changed, especially in the Latino, Hispanic, Chicano, Latinx communities in Ogden. And therefore, it would be, I think, a beautiful gesture and a responsible gesture by the council to support the extension of the Cesar Chavez signs up to Harrison. We have grown in this area, and we are not only on the west side anymore. And I think that for our students, for our families to see a name that we can recognize as one of our own is more than a kind gesture. I think it's a responsible gesture that says we welcome everyone in our communities and we value our Latino and Black communities and our people of color. And you're important enough to say that, and we're going to support you in that by approving this project and say to you, it is well deserved. Cesar Chavez is our hero. Many of us came to Ogden. I came with my parents, and we were field workers. And many of us came that way. And so Cesar was a valiant hero for the farm workers. And if you've not studied about him, I strongly recommend that you do so. He was an amazing man. And his work and his legacy continues with the union work for laborers, for produce, climate change. He was right there in the forefront. And he and Martin Luther King were just ready to do some hard civil rights work jointly before Martin Luther King was assassinated. They were a powerful, powerful team. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Give you all the time you need.
First, I would like to know who the police chief is and who mayor is.
Are you here for the street, the honorary street names? We're going to have public comment in a minute.
Oh, okay.
So, all right. Sorry about that. You might want to just sit close because it's not very far away. All right. Anyone else for the street names, the honorary street names? Okay. I'll look for...
Betty Sawyer again, this time representing the Ogden NAACP. As president of that organization, I wanted to go on record.
Can I hold on one second? Do we have any precedent for the same person representing two organizations?
Because if you hold on, I could give you 5 others I belong to. So
keep coming
I didn't
back
want to do
around.
them all at one time, but that's what community service and activism is all about. In the spirit of Cesar Chavez and Dr. Martin Luther King, we wore many hats, did many things to improve our community, and I'm keeping in the vein of my mother, Catherine Walston Bain, to do that again this evening. So again, standing as president of the Ogden branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, we want to support and urge you to support the extension of both of these honorary streets in the names of 2 of our great heroes. Thank you.
Thanks, Betty. Appreciate all that you do. Okay, is there anyone else? A different person, hopefully. Okay, I'll look for a motion to close the public hearing.
Chair Heyer?
Yes.
Before we go ahead and take motions on this, can we have just a little bit of discussion amongst us for
Let's
a
close the
quick
public
minute?
hearings first, and then we'll do that.
Which would be great.
Sure.
Okay. I'll make a motion to go ahead and close the public hearing.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Blair, seconded by Councilmember White to close the public hearings. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, let's have a little council member comment.
I just have, and I can't remember which hat she was wearing when she said it, but something that Ms. Sawyer mentioned, and I would like to just kind of explore a little bit. I agree. I think we all feel that these name changes are important and valued, and I would hate to see this not happen or take longer than it should have happened, because maybe they don't raise the full amount or they're stuck on a certain number. I just, in my own opinion, I know that when Jesse Garcia and Dr. Crawford put their mind to something, I'm sure they can accomplish it. But if there is a shortfall, I don't know how we do it, and I don't know if we do it now, but if there's a way for the city to explore taking up that remainder so that this doesn't, I would hate for them to raise $10,000 and then have it sit on the shelf for another year when that could
The
maybe
mayor
be
has a solution.
perfect.
We'll do a challenge grant. You guys raise 6 and we'll find 6.
Oh, I like it. That was easy.
We've already raised 5, so.
Challenges to us then.
Okay, all right.
I agree with that. I think we ought to step up to the plate and take that responsibility upon ourselves. And I thank the mayor for making that suggestion, because this way everyone has a participation and can help with it and be part of the community. So I think that's a great idea in that aspect.
I'm glad you made that comment, Councilmember Blair. I think I'm going to hazard a guess. I think we were all thinking that, and I've heard the comment that we've passed resolutions, we've made comments, we have decisions, but we need to put our money where our mouth is, and that just rang true to me when I was hearing that feedback. I appreciate the challenge grant from the mayor. I'd also challenge that we reach into our personal pockets to help fund their half, and then we reach into our city council pockets to meet that challenge.
Yeah, let me give a little personal reflection. I was on the planning commission back when the Cesar Chavez street name was proposed, and my initial, I'm a little naive racially, I think. I grew up pretty protected, and my initial thought was it seemed like something that was going to divide us, accentuate our differences. And but I knew and had a lot of respect for Councilmember Garcia, and so that was easily trumped by that respect that I had for him. And we went forward with it, of course, and my experience since that time is it was not at all what I thought it would be. It was something that actually drew us together rather than separated us. And I would hope that I think that's what you were saying, is I hope it isn't just city money that we find this money. I hope we get it out of our pockets, because I think that's what's going to matter. is if we can write the check or, give up a few.
I think there's a
Little
GoFundMe
perks.
page, right? GoFundMe.
Yeah, I think we should do something that makes it more personal. That's what I would suggest. And that's in line with the challenge that the mayor gave.
It's more of an opportunity to meet in the middle, which I think we all need to be working towards. So we're happy to meet everybody in the middle and work towards that. And I'll make a personal contribution, and
I will too.
And I hope everybody else accepts that.
Right.
So since we're into challenges,
yes,
and since this topic is obviously very close to my heart, I already donated out of my pocket for this initiative, but I'll challenge my council colleagues to raise the remaining funds to match the 6,000. So we put our money where our mouth is, and
How much
I'm
is
sure
that?
that we can pull it off.
$1,000?
Yep.
I'll do my 7th, no problem.
Yeah, I can do that.
So there's my challenge to all of
We're
us.
in.
Let's just get it all done tonight.
Okay. History's made tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get this thing made official, though. We need two
So
motions.
Just one other quick comment.
Okay.
I think one of the other things, and I know it took a long time to have this happen, and I think Amy Sue did a great job at the timeline. One of the things that I'm really proud of is being able to go through the Diversity Commission and actually having them look at the rest of the street naming, and as if there are others that come forward, that will be another process for us. So I appreciate there was building upon all of this to get to this point. And I know it seems like it's been a long time, and it has, but I think there was a lot that went on in between there. So a lot of good things that have happened.
Okay. Any other comments before we take a motion? Okay, I will look for a motion on the Martin Luther King Jr. honorary street name.
Chair Hire, I'd love to make a motion to adopt the resolutions 2018-15 and 2018-16.
We're going to do, one at a time.
Just the one resolution to adopt these honorary street names.
I second it.
Okay, so just so I'm clear, we have a resolution, or a motion by Councilmember Lopez, seconded by Councilmember Stevens, to adopt Resolution 2018-15, since we're doing them one at a time. Is that, so we're good? Okay, and this is a roll call vote.
Aye.
Councilmember Traburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens?
Aye.
Councilmember White?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nadolski?
Aye.
Chair Hire?
Aye. That passes. And we'll do some applause in a minute, but let's get this next one done. So I'll look for a motion on item B.
I'll make a motion to adopt proposed resolution 2018-16.
Okay? We have a motion by Councilmember Lopez, seconded by Vice Chair Nadolski, to adopt Resolution 2018-16. This also is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Traburka?
Aye.
Councilmember Lopez?
Aye.
Councilmember Stevens? Councilmember White?
Aye.
Councilmember Blair?
Aye.
Vice Chair Nadolski?
Aye.
Chair Hire?
Aye. That also passes. Now we can apply. I'd like to thank all of you who have put forth effort on this initiative. It's, I think, something that will strengthen our community, help us to bring us together. And, when we're together, we're stronger. So thank you all for the work that you put forward. Look forward to those signs going up. I saw one come in. Where did it go? We need to see it.
I've been packing those around.
Showing everybody.
Yeah. Hold
Chair
on.
Hire?
Yes.
Could we take a picture with them and those signs?
Yeah, let's do.
over
Let's
here?
have a photo, and those signs come up. Come on up. No, we
Yeah,
have to start
there's
one.
a fund. I don't know if it's GoFundMe, but there's something.
They should set up their laptop on the way out. So
Yeah.
Seriously.
I think I own one.
Yeah, those look heavy. There's two, it's two sandwiched together, isn't there? Yeah. Can you get that?
All right, that should be good.
Shake your hands, right? Shake your hands too.
Yes.
Thank you.
Nada.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I am sorry. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hey, way to go. Good work, Jesse.
Now that was fun.
Yeah, we've had a lot of fun today.
No.
Oh, thank you so much. We get to move a lot more in this meeting. I like you.
Yes,
I feel like I should just.
Whew. Boy, we've had more fun than we're allowed, I think, tonight. Yeah. All right. Well, the next item on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council regarding concerns or ideas on any topic. So now would be your time. Please come forward and give us your name and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
I have quite a few complaints about my right. Okay, who's the policeman chief and who's the mayor?
Could you give us your name, please?
Crosby. David Crosby.
Okay.
Who's the police chief, who's the mayor?
If you could go through your
Okay,
questions.
I feel like I've been discriminated up here on 22nd Street and Jefferson and Kimmy Lane Apartments there. Okay, every time I have my cars parked there or anything parked there, cops tag it and tow away. Somebody else parks their car there, like I have one right there now, they won't tag it, they won't tow it or nothing. But when it comes to my property, and they tag it and tow away every time. But somebody else parks them there, they just sit there as long as they want to. And I call the dispatch office, cop come up, just sit there and look at it for about 5 minutes and take off. And don't tag it or nothing. And need to be told, it's in the way of coming out of the parking lot where I live at. You can't see it around that car to get out of the parking lot. And I call and I get third degree every time I call from the cops. And either they don't show up or they don't want to come at all. And I feel I've been discriminated against because of my speech impairment and my handicap.
Why don't we get somebody to meet with this fine gentleman right after the meeting?
I ain't happy at all.
Can you see the guy on the end? Raise your hand, Mark. Can you meet with him right after? We're just about finished with the meeting.
Yeah.
If you want to meet with him, I think he can maybe help
I
too.
mean, every vehicle I have, my camper, my trailer, my boat, wherever I have a parked on the road, they tag it and then tow away when I'm at work. They tag it one day and then the next day they tow it the same day. And I can't afford to fix it right now. So, but the guy got his truck on blocks right now in front of my house. Won't nobody towing away, nobody tag it. It's in the way right there.
Okay. Well, yeah, if you'll speak with Mr. Johnson. Did you have anything else you wanted to say to the council?
I feel like I'm being discriminated against every time I call the cops. Nobody wants to show up to the house.
Okay.
I'm getting tired of being made out to be as a reject, you know, by the cops. I'm getting tired of it.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, John.
How are you, Council? I'm used to calling you Bishop or Stake President.
Nope, just Mister.
That's fine. My name is John. I can raise my chair so I can see your faces. I don't like to speak without seeing faces. I am a person that is able to overcome obstacles even with a disability. 15 months after I was born, I contracted polio. Spent 2 years in an iron lung. Now I'm just mentioning that part of my life. And of course then I had to start walking over again, and this time it was on crutches and braces. I don't know how many of you have been on crutches and braces or in a wheelchair. But President Heyer remembers me, Mr. Heyer, Honorable Heyer. I was in his stake. And he would see me on my crutches when I had them. But now I'm approaching you to challenge you to accept the challenge of being in a wheelchair or on crutches for one whole day. Next month is Disability Awareness Month. And I'm just seeking one day for you to be in a wheelchair or on crutches all day long, whether you're in church or anything. And also, I'd like to challenge the committee, the council, to participate in a Wheeling Jazz City Council basketball tournament where the City Council plays the Wheeling Jazz in October. And that's what I am here to present to you at this time.
Thanks, John. Is that all you had to say?
I can say a lot more.
I'm sure. If you'll remember, when you first got your wheels, you let me kind of scoot them around a little bit. And I think I was your tire fill station for a while, too.
Yeah.
At the place.
Mayor?
Yes.
Just for the record, we didn't get his last name. If she could just...
Yeah, Prescott.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I should have stated that.
Okay. Thanks, John. Appreciate you being here. Is there anyone else?
To the mayor and city council, I first of all want to apologize for being kind of sneaky. My name is Kenneth Wilder. I live up on Tyler and 23rd. And the reason I'm apologizing for being kind of sneaky is because during the 1995 session, I was the chair of the Multicultural Advisory Committee at the time when we did the signage for Martin Luther King, and we also supported Cesar Chavez on 30th later on. So, as I said, I didn't want to, I know that you have a very vibrant, and I'm looking forward to going to some of the diversity commission meetings to see how, not see how they stack up against us, because we had Max Rugin and you can't get any better than that. But anyway, but it is just good to see that the city, is coming together, and that the city has grown from the time that we, faced some of the challenges. And I look forward to seeing both the mayor and the city council, when I was coming to these meetings, the relationship between mayor and council wasn't always cordial. I think that's a good word for it. But I see the way you guys interacted and worked together, and I'm very heartened by the work that you're doing, the work you have done, and I'm going to do all I can to make sure that all the citizens of Ogden participate in the activities that you guys support and bring up to the citizens of Ogden. And so I just wanted to commend you for an excellent job. And you can see I'm getting long of tooth, but as much as I can, I want to especially bring our young people in to show you how far back I go. This was a time when we had, and I know you've got me on the clock, when you had the street festival, and we also had the Ogden, and I just forgot the name of it. It was in May, and we had the participation right here in the amphitheater. It was a diversity in Ogden, and so Ogden has really grown to some of the other things. I know Harvest Moon is coming up and some of the other issues, and so it's just heartening to see how the community is getting involved, and I'm just pleased, and I just wanted to commend all of you, the mayor and council and staff. I kind of joked with, in closing, I kind of joked with Greg because when I was working, you know, Greg Montgomery was, you know, on the planning commission, and it was just encouraging to see him still here. And I asked him, I said, well, how long are you going to do this? And he just kind of laughed. So I know he's a vital part of the city. So I just wanted to say that and thank you for all of your work and your effort.
Thank you, Jim.
Appreciate you. Is there anyone else? It's looking like we're about cleaned out the chambers now. So we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is comments for the mayor.
A couple of quick things to address Mr. Prescott's concerns about people in crutches and wheelchairs. I can't speak for the rest of you, but I know at least two of us have spent more than a single day on crutches as we go through injuries and other things, and I appreciate the sacrifices and challenges that they face, so I think that's amazing. And I also really want to thank you all. When I think of the sacrifices, you know, just locally, Captain Croyle has made, and then the designations of Martin Luther King and Cesar Chavez, sorry to butcher that. One of the comments that was made was that it is well deserved, and I agree with that comment. It is well deserved. So I appreciate, we're very happy to support that, and I'm going to tell you right now, every one of those street signs will be up by the end of the year.
Great, thanks, Mayor. Council members, any comments?
I think John gave us a challenge that whenever we look at our streets, we ought to make them friendly to those that are in wheelchairs and on crutches. So if there's any improvements we need to make, then that would be a challenge to us to do something along that line.
He has come in before and brought specifics of problem areas in our city where wheelchairs are just not passable. And you know, he's a pretty good man, and so I really respect what he has to say. He does see things from a different perspective than we all do. I cannot see myself playing a basketball game on a wheelchair because I can't play basketball without, you know, on my feet. So, but certainly I think we need to be mindful of those things, and I think we have stepped it up over the recent years. You know, fixing our sidewalks at a little more extended rate or accelerated rate, and those kind of things. So, but I think it's going to be, we just need to be mindful of that.
In light of that, Weber State by 24 this week.
Weber State, okay. That'll be on the tweet, right? Okay. All right.
Chair Heyer, I wanted to add a comment. When Mr. Prescott made his comments, my mom has multiple sclerosis and struggles getting around. And it was about 5 or 10 years ago. My parents were in town over the holidays, and so they wanted to see everything that we do in the downtown for the Christmas Village. And we took her down, and it had just snowed a lot. And that was the first time that I realized just how deficient, not Ogden, but this is a societal challenge. Communities are not adapted for their needs. And I agree that I'm sure we're doing better, but there's always going to be more that we need to do. I think I'm going to take him up on his one-day challenge. And if anybody else wants to play hoops, I'll play. But even though I know it's going to be a beating. But I just share that experience because it was really hard for us as a family to do what we all take for granted. And I think that's Mr. Prescott's point of the challenge, is for us to put ourselves in that position and to empathize with the challenges. And so I'd encourage all to have that same challenge.
Councilman, if you don't want to play the pros, I'll take you one-on-one in a wheelchair.
Oh, that would be a good.
You know what? I beat you on foot. I'll beat you in a chair.
Now, this is another opportunity for a video, Brandon.
No video.
Council members, any other comments? Okay.
Harvest Moon this weekend, so a lot of activity going down in the streets downtown. So
Yeah, and to add on that, there's a celebration of the migration painting happening, the mural up by the Monarch on Saturday too. And also, I just wanted to commend all the organizations, LUPEC and the city, for the Hispanic Heritage Festival on Saturday. I went there for a little bit, and it was a really great event.
Okay, anyone else?
One more comment, because she reminded me and I didn't mention it, but I learned at that same event. Thank you, Lupek, and thank you, Luis, for emceeing it and for also taking me around and introducing me to people. Really helped me that you did that, so thank you. But I also learned that the Weber State Center for Diversity and Unity is going to be hosting an event for Dolores Huerta, who, as we're here celebrating Cesar Chavez, he has clearly gotten a lot of notoriety for the work that he's done, and he's getting his notoriety that's due to him in our community. Dolores Huerta was also the co-founder of the National Farm Workers Association, and she'll be coming to Weber State on September 25th. And her story is often overlooked because of community and cultural biases against gender issues. And so I think it's important that we call attention to her as well, and that she'll be in our community soon. And I think the timing is important, and so is the message that she'll share. Thanks.
Quick comment, Chair. I usually don't comment when we don't have a lot of people in the audience, but today the occasion merits just a quick comment. In the spirit of what happened here tonight and the honoring of our diverse communities coming in, coming together and passing these ordinance to put these signs up and recognize these important historical people. I also just want to throw out there that I would hope that as we are working on improving what we do for our diverse communities of the city, we go beyond naming streets and we get into policies and administrative actions as well that will lead to improving the lives of our diverse community and our diverse groups in the city. I think that everybody's hearts are in the right place, but I think there's a lot of work that we need to do. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, I'll look for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. I have a motion by Vice Chair Nadolski, second by Councilmember Blair to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's a wrap.